So as you know, my local TD, my former local TD and a minister, is one of the Uachtarán here and the President of Ireland, Head of Humphreys. You probably voted for many times, Minister for Social Protection, other roles too. And obviously I talked to Heather many times, and a lot of people in Cavan went to Heather with many different things, including Monaghan too, of course, not to forget Monaghan. But long story short, the question arises: will I vote for Heather Humphreys when the presidency election comes up in less than a few weeks' time at this stage, the 24th of October? Will I vote for Heather Humphreys? And the simple answer is, and the straight up answer, I'm not going to vote for Heather Humphreys. And the reason, there's a lot of reasons behind it. I explain it all in a second. But the main reason is, if you vote, regardless if you vote for Jim Gavin or Heather Humphreys or whoever, if it's, God forbid, Michelle O'Neill too of Sinn Féin, that doesn't know what a woman is. But let's put it this way. If you vote for them, you're voting for their political parties, not just voting for the individual. I know the presidency is very limited in the powers, etc., of the presidency. But you're still voting for that candidate. I would rather vote for an independent man or an independent woman that's a self-made man, etc. Heather Humphreys doesn't have the balls to sit down if she gets into House and Uachtarán, the president's office. When legislation takes, for example, the hate speech bill comes into the through the House as the Oireachtas, as the Dáil and the Shanna passes overwhelmingly and goes to the president to sign, will she send it to the Supreme Court to test its constitutionality? And the issues of freedom of speech in the Constitution, because the hate speech bill infringes on it, in every possible regard, the freedom to express yourself in the Irish Constitution, and pretty much states God himself is the only man that has the authority. Any person have the authority to take away your constitutional rights when you drop dead on this earth. That's the straight up fact. Will she say to the government to shove it up the hole? That's what I'm saying, and she won't do it. She won't do it. She will listen to. She will just sign on the dotted line and won't even care. Let's put it that way. And the same with Jim Gavin. They won't care about what's put in front of him. The same with Michael Higgins. He just signed whatever was put in front of him. He never questioned anything. I think only once he convened the State Council with his former Taoiseachs and high up ministers, high up executives and the former executives, etc., the Irish state, in terms of a legislation to do with the defence forces. But still, at the end of the day, that was only once in the last 14 years. So he's not questioning much the Irish government. Because we want a president that can annoy the government. They can really upset them and cause them a lot of guff. But unfortunately, Heather Humphreys won't do that. She's going to side with Fine Gael on everything. Whatever Simon Howard says to do, she's going to jump. And the same with Micheál Martin. Whatever he tells her to do, she's going to jump. Now, the other reason why, as I say, because you're pretty much voting for Fine Gael, and why would you do that? Fine Gael has done nothing. In fairness, they've picked the best candidate out of all Fine Gael. Let's be fair. Heather Humphreys, out of all the rest of the Fine Gael, were the best person to pick. She's done a lot for Cavan and Monaghan. She's got a lot of resources. Nobody can deny that. I'm not going to deny it. She has done good in that section. But one right doesn't make a good. Let's put it that way. In doing things like that, because what her party has done to this country is unforgivable, the same as Fianna Fáil. But they've thrown this country to the dogs. They've said it to the dogs, and Heather Humphreys has been complicit in it because she said nothing. And that's the simple truth. She has said nothing. And why would you vote for Fine Gael when we see so many young Irish people? I know so many in Cavan. They have no hope of ever owning a house. They have no hope of even buying a house, renting a house, even getting a mortgage for a house is difficult. To raise a family, the only hope they have is go to Australia, get out of this country. And these are Irish people that have generations of Irish blood. They've been here for hundreds of years, and unfortunately they have to go because they simply cannot afford to live. And then we have people coming in from Timbuktu who are getting free houses, social welfare, the whole lot, the whole shebang, and they're able to make a living here and they have 6 or 7 children. It doesn't make any sense. But there's no support for them. That's what I'm trying to say. Fine Gael's been in power since 2008, since the bankruptcy in this country. And nothing has been done to help any Irish people, help any young Irish people, not even young Irish people, elderly people. There's so many elderly people in Cavan and Monaghan. They can't get a GP appointment, they can't get home help, they can't get anything. Simple as that. There's nothing been done to help them. What I mean to say is Fine Gael and Heather Humphreys are one of the same, because Heather Humphreys has been in government the majority of the time as a minister. She's always really held the office of a minister, either the Minister for Social Protection, Minister for Justice, etc. She's basically been in the government and has done nothing in that regard to stop this from happening. So she is complicit in that. The other thing I say too is Simon Howes is the leader of Fine Gael. As you know, he's the man who does many harm to this country. But not even that. just recently enough, a young lad passed away from scoliosis with not getting the scoliosis treatment. And Simon Howe said on the record of the Dáil that no child in this country will wait 6 months for scoliosis surgery. And unfortunately, this young lad is dead because Simon Howe didn't care. And it's just simple the truth. Because he won't contact the family, he won't talk to them. He's a disgrace, Simon Howe. And why would you vote for why would you vote for Fine Gael? Why would you vote for the Gael, the party of the Gaels, when they don't put Irish children first and they don't look after the children when they make a promise? When they make a promise, you should keep it. But Simon Howe said that, and these are serious things. This young lad is dead because of Simon Howe and because of this government. Not even Simon Howe alone, but Simon Howe said it. He should take responsibility. He shouldn't be there. He should be kicked out by now. But even that, just remember when the election was last November, being stopped in the shop by a nurse, a care worker. And we all know that. We all remember that. Like, it was just pure. There's no words to describe it. Just pure, no empathy at all for anybody. Nothing at all. Like, just soulless. That's what it is. Devilish, I would nearly say. But yeah, Simon Howes. If you vote for Fine Gael, you're pretty much voting confidence in Simon Howes too. And who in the name of God has confidence in Simon Howes? Because as I said, so many young Irish people have to go because there's simply nothing here for them. And it's such a sad thing. And this is supposed to be the party of the Gaels for the Irish people, the Gaelic people. But not a hope. Fine Gael doesn't give a shit. They care for everybody else, but not the Irish people. And it's a simple truth. It's a simple truth. Not even that too. There's many other things we can go into with Fine Gael. And then obviously what Fianna Fáil is doing at the moment. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, pretty much one and the same. There's nothing to distinguish them anymore. They're just pretty much one and the same. They're all anti-Irish. They seem to hate the foundation of this state. And they hate every Irish citizen, it seems. But that's just my opinion. If you want to vote for Heather Humphreys, as I say, I have loads of grievances. Not so much with Heather Humphreys herself. As I said, I spoke to Heather Humphreys many times over the years. But, not with herself. That I don't have issue with the person herself. But I have issues with the party, if that makes any sense. And I simply cannot go into a ballot box and vote, yeah, I'm going to give confidence to these idiots that's been in government in the last few years, that has destroyed this country, has sent so many my age people never to return to another country. And not to mention that the matter of homeless people, we could write the book on it, unfortunately. But what I'm trying to say, I cannot in good conscience go into a voting box and vote Fine Gael number one. Simply cannot do that, regardless if the man in the moon was one of it. Or even, God only knows, whoever. I wouldn't vote for them, regardless if they're from fucking next door, living next door to me. I simply wouldn't vote for them. But if they were an independent man, I'll give them the time of day. But the mainstream political parties have done this country no good in any shape or form. Neither Fianna Fáil, neither Fine Gael, neither Sinn Féin have done nothing to help us in any way, any Irish citizen. And the same with the Labour Party too, because the Labour Party, we will not forget them, Joan Borton, etc, etc. But let me know what you think, subscribe. But again, this is my opinion, so if you don't agree with me, that's democracy, that's freedom. That's what a democracy and elections are all about. But I'm just giving my specific opinion because particularly this candidate's from my region of the country. And a lot of people ask me, I probably would be voting for Fine Gael because Heather Humphreys is the candidate for this area. Like it was in Cavan and Monaghan, if that makes any sense. But I simply won't do that. Simply won't do it. As I say, there's many other issues. But it's mainly to do with the party. It's not so much her herself. But we'll see what happens. As I say, we need a person that can pretty much give the government a very, very hard time. Because that's really all they can do. They can't really do anything to change anything. But just be a nuisance to the government would be great. Thank you.